Okay, got interrupted again. But here's how I'll end things. And again, this is kind of why I am shocked that you and I aren't at similar conclusion points, since we're so similar on the fact that we're willing to literally put aside whatever we had to put aside in order to come to know truth. And that's, I think, what you respect about me, and it's certainly what I respect about you, is your journey for truth is so sincere. And this is what I had to do in order to get to where I'm at. A long time ago, I did something similar to what you've done in order to increase my odds of finding truth. I decided to put aside my preconceived notions, my oughts, my wish list, my ideals, my cultural brainwashing and sensibilities. After all, if there's a spiritual warfare going on in the background, how on earth can we know the influence we are under if we don't at some point put everything aside and begin fresh? So I asked myself questions like the following. Am I willing to get to know God on His terms? Am I willing to submit to His authority and humble myself? Am I willing to realize that God's character and personality will not always mirror who I am? In the ways I differ from Him or don't understand Him, am I still willing to trust and follow? What if following Him costs me? What costs am I willing to pay? So forth and so on. All of us, when we begin a journey, have to ask ourselves similar questions, even if it's just to go on a camping or hiking trip. You know, we basically have to decide, what do I pack? What am I going to possibly encounter? If I encounter it, how will I react? What types of roadblocks or difficulties will make me turn around and go home? Or what am I willing to endure to get to the end of this path? I don't fault you or anybody for the path you take. Thank God you and I are not finished with our paths. Where we're at now is certainly not where we're going to be 10 years from now. And I hope that we look back on these conversations with one another and we laugh a little bit and we celebrate where we were and where we've come, and that we still know each other. But this hopefully sheds some light to you on where I'm at and how I'm able to do what I ask of my son all the time, and at times he's very unable to do. And it's been through a lot of maturing and a lot of humility that I finally have come to a point. And part of it's through being a dad and seeing how frustrating it is for my son to question, even though he knows that his daddy loves him, even though he knows that he can trust me. You know, there was a time where I was so frustrated that he wouldn't just obey me, that I heard that small, still voice that I call God, that you call your conscience. And it said, you're the same way. And it's frustrating as it is that your son won't obey you just because you are his daddy and you love him. You're every bit as challenging when you disobey me. And so I've decided in a lot of ways, and I didn't need that particular illustration because it's a lesson I learn and relearn and relearn and relearn all the time. But I've decided in many ways to be a 4-year-old, to do as Jesus Christ said and become a child in my faith and just trust Daddy. Now, that doesn't mean I still don't want answers. It doesn't mean I don't need explanations. It doesn't mean that these roadblocks, these difficult things that I hit, won't eventually be hurdled. There are apologetics out there for the slavery issue and for the Holy War issue and even the hell issue. What I wonder is if when people hit these roadblocks, if we're looking for the answer, or if we're just so shocked and upset by it we go running and we reject everything we know about our Father and the fact that He has our best interest at heart. So I hope that sheds some light on things. I know I went too long. This is probably a two-parter. We'll see when I edit it. But thanks again for your response and for all of you that are participating in this conversation.